about developing a deeper understanding and evaluating readiness, their motivation to help themselves. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 10. There we go. In ordinary conversation, people often communicate in verbal shorthand, only discussing topics in a superficial way. We rarely ask for more information. We assume that people use words the same way that we do. It is important for practitioners to listen for gaps in information. Notice points and words that are not clear. Ask about how conclusions are reached. I understand you're feeling depressed. What is depression like for you? I hear you are concerned about your children's behavior. Can you give me some examples? I notice that several people in the group are looking at the floor. Will one of you share what you are feeling? When behaviors, feelings, experiences, and the nature of the problem, challenge, or situations are clear, then changes can be more easily made. When behaviors, feelings, experiences, and the nature of the problem, challenge, or situation are clear, then changes can be more easily made. Okay, that makes sense. The meaning of words and body language can be explored. The basis of conclusions can be enlightening. Using questions to expand and clarify is important in families and groups. You said your mom doesn't like you. Will you tell me what makes you think that? I don't think others care about finishing what we started. Will you tell me what is happening that makes you think that? I know my husband doesn't love me. Will you give me some examples of his behavior that leads you to feel that way? A client must be willing to explore more deeply. A client must feel comfortable and safe. It can be useful for the practitioner to ask about the client's hesitancy to share, but the practitioner should not push clients to share. Gaining further information may help in establishing a trusting relationship. Silence may be useful in encouraging clients to explore further. Silence allows time for processing. Feelings may be experienced more deeply during silent periods. The more intense the feelings, the more silent time may be needed to experience them. Some people need more silent time to process their thoughts and feelings, and this is a really serious problem with European Americans. European Americans have a hard time not filling the time with noise, with talking. So if you're dealing with a client who is European American, uh, then potentially one of the things they will do is try to dissipate, try to get away from their feelings by filling what should be silent time, what should be time that they are thinking with noise. Don't allow them to do that. Some people need quiet time to think. Silence should be used purposefully. Observe your client's reaction to silence. Some may feel rejected. Some may just feel uncomfortable. Each situation and each client needs to be thoughtfully considered. To develop deeper understanding of clients besides focusing on their challenges, you need to focus on their strengths, their resources, their positive factors. Many clients may want their challenges to be understood before they move on to their strengths. By focusing on the client's strengths, resources, and other positive factors, the practitioner can help clients feel hopeful, positive, and more able to cope. Highlighting what clients have already achieved shows that the practitioner understands and supports the efforts they have made. Questions helpful in exploring strengths and positive factors. What do you do well? What do you like about yourself? What does your family do that is fun? What are some good things about this organization? Tell me about friends who have helped you in the past. What have you done that you are proud of? Empowerment is achieved when clients know that they have the knowledge, the skills, competencies, and resources to make decisions, solve problems, and achieve goals. As people use their strengths and resources to face and deal with problems and challenges, they gain confidence. Tell me about something you completed that seemed difficult. What skills have helped you solve previous challenges? How have you resolved previous challenges? After reflecting the client's strengths, the practitioner can invite the client to catalog other instances when they have actively participated in solving problems. This will enhance their confidence and sense of empowerment. Tell me about something you completed that seemed difficult. Of the things you have already done to resolve the problem, tell me about what has worked well, even for a brief period of time. What are some of the things you learned from working with past challenges? What skills helped you solve past challenges? How have you resolved previous challenges? Respect can be demonstrated by expressing understanding and validating the client's story, by showing interest in the client's thoughts and feelings, wants, needs, and goals, by creating and maintaining a collaborative environment, by asking about strengths, resources, potential, and capacities, by identifying their strengths. With all the trained professionals in this group, I am confident that we can find a way to resolve this. You've tried to solve this problem. Will you tell me about other things you have considered but haven't used yet? You seem quite angry about how your boss has been behaving. It must be a tough place to work. How do you think I might help you? When you resolve this problem, what are some things that will be different in your family? You have told me about the many ways that you have worked on this challenge. Who else in the agency might be willing to work with us to resolve the problem? As I understand it, you have done a lot of thinking about the problems this organization is facing. You have talked to a number of people about your understanding of the problem and have decided to commit time and energy to resolving this problem. You have taken some important steps in problem solving. And that is the end of chapter 10. So let's go on to chapter 11. There we go. Assessing readiness and motivation. Starting with research by Prochaska in 1999, researchers have identified 5 stages of readiness to change, using smoking cessation, weight reduction, and sobriety studies. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Until somebody is ready and motivated to change, they're not going to change. So you need to evaluate where they are in their process. In the pre-contemplation stage, the individual denies or lacks understanding of his problem behavior. Since the individual does not recognize their problem, they do not see the need for change. They may blame their problems on others. They may only agree to see a practitioner because someone else has suggested or required it. A person who abuses substances, but despite many arrests for driving under the influence, does not consider themselves to have a problem that needs to be addressed. A gang that lives in a community with high levels of violence who believe they can continue perpetrating violence and not be personally affected. A husband who comes along to counseling because his wife thinks they have problems but doesn't see any problems himself. A wife who wants to end her marriage and comes to counseling to ease her guilt. Maybe she is going to counseling in order to tell herself, I did everything I could to save the marriage. I even went to counseling. A person who has had a serious health crisis and has been told to change their eating habits but states, I have always eaten this way and I am not going to change now. Practitioners should focus on raising clients' awareness of the urgency of the issues and the pain or fear involved. Pre-contemplation counselor, if you continue drinking, what do you think your life will be like in 5 years? Counselor, I have worked with people who have changed their eating habits and become healthier. A person in the pre-contemplation stage isn't interested in setting goals. The target must be to get the client to think about changing their lives and whether it will improve their lives. The second stage of readiness for change is contemplation. The individual in this stage weighs the pros and cons in making a change, but they are not quite ready to move ahead with making a change. Practitioners can discuss the advantages and disadvantages of changing. It is helpful to identify barriers or challenges to making changes. The practitioner can propose small steps toward considering a change. Practitioner, as you think about giving up marijuana, what do you consider would be the advantages and disadvantages? Client, I am not ready to make any changes right now. Client, I have wondered if some of the problems on this team are because I am kind of dominating. But on the other hand, I think we get more accomplished because I am pushy. Client, my boss thinks I should get over my fear of making speeches, but I'm just not sure if it is something I can do. Client, I keep getting sent to the principal's office for fighting, and then I can't play in the next football game. I don't like getting in trouble, but I have to stand up for myself. Client, we have discussed forming a committee to address the problems in this organization, but I wonder if we would really accomplish anything. Practitioners can help clients identify barriers or challenges to making changes, and also strengths that will be helpful if they decide to change. Practitioners might ask if there are small steps that they might consider that may lead to a greater willingness to change in the near future. The third stage of readiness for change is preparation. The clients are ready to change and are looking for information. They may have already made some changes and are wanting to make more progress. They may have made some small steps and are ready to move forward making goals. Generally, people need to be at this stage before a major change will be possible. The fourth stage is the action stage. Clients are ready to take specific steps and may need little or no support from practitioner. If the practitioner assumes that clients are at this stage and yet they are still in a previous stage, the practitioner will likely feel frustrated. Clients may feel that they should be ready to take steps they are not yet ready to take. Only about a third of clients come to a practitioner at this stage, at the action stage, ready to go, ready to change things. An obese client, when faced with life-threatening health issues, joins Weight Watchers, learns to follow the program, and loses a significant amount of weight. A parent whose children have been removed from the home because the parent used harsh, abusive means of discipline says that they will learn other ways of discipline, willingly goes to a parenting class, and talks with the practitioner about ways to use what they have learned. A child realizes that they will not be able to play on a team without earning passing grades and starts attending an after-school tutoring class in order to bring up their grades. A task group establishes a clear goal, identifies steps to achieve their goal, and talks with a practitioner about ways to work together most effectively. Maintenance, the pull to return to old behaviors is very strong. Clients need to develop ways to cope with temptations and to reward day-to-day successes. It is helpful to explore how past successes have been maintained and develop ways to maintain current changes. It must be remembered that this stage can be difficult. The old behavior was maintained before because it was rewarding or comfortable. Clients need to learn to cope with old behaviors and temptations for the long haul. An organization develops more effective ways of problem solving and plans regular meetings so potential problems can be addressed before they become bigger issues. An individual learns to stop procrastinating on projects and makes plans to check in with someone who will provide honest feedback about whether the problem seems to be reappearing. A person who has had serious problems with alcohol abuse continues to be involved with AA. A person has lost weight with the help of Weight Watchers and continues to attend meetings at least once a month. Relapse is common, and preparation for it needs to be a part of the process. Relapse is so common when change has occurred that some practitioners add it as a stage of change. When relapse occurs, clients may return to any of the previous stages. It is the job of the practitioner to determine which stage the client is in. Termination is the point at which there is no temptation to return to old behavior. So assessing stages of change, do you currently have a problem with whatever? If yes, then the client is in contemplation, preparation, or action stage. If no, then the client is in pre-contemplation stage. Do you intend to deal with the problem? If the answer is someday, then the client is in the contemplation stage. If the answer is in the next few weeks or specific date, then they are in the preparation stage. If they say right now, then they are in the action stage. Do you intend to deal with the problem? If the answer to the question was no, then ask what leads you to say that. If the answer is because there is not a problem, the client is in the pre-contemplation stage. If the client responds because I have already dealt with that problem, the client is in the maintenance stage. Another theory that can be used to assess readiness or the ability to make changes is social cognitive theory. This theory was developed by Albert Bandura and was originally called the social learning theory. This theory considers the impact of the following factors as to readiness for change: the environment that the individual is in, their personal being, and their behavior. Personal factors include everything: physical makeup, brain structure, cognitive capacity, beliefs, self-concept, goals, emotions. Personal factors deal with how you interact with others. Are you focused more inward on yourself, or are you focused more outward on others? Research has shown that behavior affects brain structures. Long-haul truck drivers have different brain structures than theoretical physicists. Behavior also affects physical makeup, as someone who is sedentary will look different from a marathoner. And this is a sedentary guy, and this is the marathoner. When assessing a person's readiness or ability to make changes from the point of view of the social cognitive theory, several dimensions are considered. Does the environment support or encourage changed behavior? Does the person think that they have the capacity to make the change? Does the client believe that there is something to be gained from making the change rather than maintaining the current behavior? And this is something that you're going to have to deal with. If you're dealing with somebody who's a drinker and they don't want to change, it may be the environment that keeps them that way. Maybe they're married to a spouse that drinks every night, and they want to be part of that. Does the person think they have the capacity to make the change? Everybody thinks that they can be the best that they can be, but the reality may be that they just don't really want to, and if they don't really want to, it's not going to happen. There has to be something positive that can happen, like they've lost their children and they need to get them back and they lost them because they were drinking too much, or they were pass out drunks. There's got to be a reason why they're doing what they're doing. The practitioner must take into account all factors that influence the client, family, group, or organization. Do they feel compelled to solve the problem? The amount of discomfort created by the problem impacts the motivation. Environmental factors can influence motivation, of course. The relationship of the client and the practitioner influence motivation. Positive regard can increase motivation, as can the practitioner's genuineness, focus on the issues, and regular feedback. Problems in the relationship must be dealt with non-defensively by both parties, but especially the practitioner. It is important for the practitioner to regularly ask for feedback from the client to ensure that the progress that he or she perceives is actual and not illusional. Discounting is a cognitive distortion that allows clients to deny or minimize existence of the problem. There are 4 levels of discounting. Thinking there is no problem, thinking the problem is not significant but present, thinking that the problem does not have a solution, which still blocks motivation, of course, and thinking that others have changed the problem but that he or she cannot do it. They could be in the contemplation stage. An individual who thinks being 50 pounds overweight is not a problem. A family that believes disciplining children by hitting them with a belt isn't a problem. A task group that thinks that the fact that they haven't started working on an assignment that is due in a few days is not a problem. A business that thinks the fact that their product isn't completely safe is not a problem. The guy that is 50 pounds overweight accepts it as a problem, but not a serious one. The abusive belt-hitting family might not worry about their discipline technique because 1, they never do it in public, 2, it doesn't happen that often, and 3, this must be the right way to discipline because their family has always done it this way, going back 5 generations. The task group says that getting started late is a problem, but not a serious one because students work on things at the last minute all the time and they still get them done because they are so brilliant. The business admits that their product isn't completely safe, but since most people are not negatively affected by it, it isn't really important to change it. Being 50 pounds overweight is a serious problem, but everyone in the family is overweight and there is nothing that can be done about it. Disciplining children by hitting them with a belt may be considered a serious problem by some blue noses in the community, but it is the only effective way to make their children behave. We wanted to get a good grade on this project and knew that starting late may mean that we won't be possible, but everyone was too busy. We just couldn't do it any other way. The business made a statement that selling a product that is unsafe is a risk, but it is a profitable product, and they don't know any way to improve the safety. I am concerned about being overweight, and I know that my friend lost weight recently, but losing weight isn't something I can do. We haven't been able to discipline our children except by hitting them, but our neighbors took a parenting course and learned several new ways to discipline their children. For this assignment, we weren't able to start working until right before the project was due, but some of the other groups in the class somehow found enough time to work together before the project was due, and they got better grades than we did. We haven't found any way to be profitable except by continuing to sell an unsafe product, but there are other similar companies who have found alternative safe and profitable products. The practitioner's job is to get the client to accept the problem exists, the problem is serious, the problem is solvable by the client. Most people are uncomfortable with change, so getting past discounting may take time. Strengths, capacity, and resources have a significant effect on motivation. Clients who have many personal strengths, good social support, and adequate resources tend to be motivated. Resilience is an important strength. Level of stress and demands reduces or enhances motivation. Clients who have faced extensive stress recently and have high stress currently have depleted their resources and may have difficulty dealing with new stress. Experience teaches the client that they have the ability to affect change. Experience leads to self-efficacy, which leads to hope. Another element of hope is an internal locus of control. They believe that their behavior will produce the desired changes. People with an external locus of control believe that control is external and they have no power to influence it. Thus, anything that they do has no connection to the outcome. There is no way that they can fix themselves. Practitioners bring their previous experience, education, and beliefs about change to any meeting with clients. When change is not as quick or easy as clients want, practitioners provide support and encouragement that change is possible. Another element of hope is the placebo effect. Research on counseling and medicine consistently shows that when people believe that something will help them, it often is helpful. And that is the end of the lecture. One of the things I need to remind you guys is that you need to get your histories in. If you don't have a character to counsel, you can't do counseling yourself. And if you don't do counseling, you can't possibly pass this class. So one of the things that you need to do is finish that history. It's on the assignments page. Just download it. It's not hard to fill out. It's only 4 pages. Not a whole lot of writing to it. You need to create a problem that doesn't have anything to do with the problem that you've ever had or are close to, and that will be your character. And if you create a character, then people will be able to counsel your character. If you don't do it, then I don't know. I can't see a way that you can actually pass the class. So you need to create your character. We will start counseling. This is the 7th week, so we'll start counseling in three weeks, sometime around the end of October, sometime around the middle of October, I guess. Anyway, so there you go. I'll talk to you next week.